Alright guys, Hatchcromer here, and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Shotzzy calling out Aches' takes on the Optic team over the last couple of weeks, but also Enable with some very interesting words on stream last night, saying that he's heard some rather remarkable things behind the scenes about this whole situation with Pred and how it's continued into the present day that he is not necessarily at liberty to share. What is he talking about? Is there serious issues behind the scenes right now? Because when you're on a 15 map loss streak in the qualifiers so far, it can't be all sunshine and rainbows behind the scenes. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Starting just with this, I think Joe Deceives, he played 2 series, didn't he, this weekend? Well, yeah, one of them was a 2.05, so I guess that averaged out to a 1.5 for him. Gwyd had a 1.46, Hydra had a 1.36, and, you know, lots of these guys, of course, play a couple of series on the upcoming weekend. I think Toronto only have 1 series left, though, maybe, and Thieves are on the verge of going undefeated in the qualifiers, and honestly, only losing a single map in the process. Now, they do, the next game is against Optic, and they also play Minnesota Rocker do the Thieves. Their only map loss so far is coming against the Falcons, so it could be one of the more impressive stints that we have seen from a CDL team so far. That's actually what we see right about here. So some of the teams have played 6 matches, so Cloud9 are 4-2, Toronto are 4-2, Boston are 2-4. So that's pretty big for them, because if Boston can get to 3-4, let's have a look at the schedule right about here. Yeah, so Boston played Miami. Massive series for them. This is finally a series of Boston that's, you know, because they've played a lot of Surge and FaZe and Thieves as of late. So I don't think Boston are as good as they were, but I think they should be good enough maybe to get this series win. I guess time will tell. But that's a big one for them, right? Because if they get to 3-4, that's, you know, potentially, well, it would be a winner's bracket start, right? Because they would likely overtake Miami and get the head-to-head in the process. So New York and Toronto, obviously 4 wins is enough for winner's brackets. Winner's bracket isn't necessarily the be-all and end-all, because certainly the way that this league is trending right now, we are seeing some teams really separate themselves from the pack in good and bad ways, let's say. So you don't really want to be the 8th seed, because you're going to play Thieves round 1, and good luck with that. That's at least how it seems right now. Ravens recovered well after an 0-2 start to get to at least 3-2. They played 2 more games the upcoming weekends. Those are against Miami and Falcons, so should be clean sailing for Ravens into the winners bracket. On the lower side, Optic are already cooked. They're in losers. Falcons, of course, are in losers. Gentlemates, I mean, look, they've got 2 more series left. If they were to beat Optic and they were to beat FaZe, which, yeah, I don't know about that, then they might make it. So realistically, I think most things are probably set in terms of who's going to get to the winners bracket for the major. And of course, we know that one of the losers bracket teams is going to be Optic, despite the fact that it's the home event. You know, I've seen some comments over the last couple of weeks saying, oh, well, you know, Optic have done this before. They've had a rough stint. They turn up to their major, the drums come out, and they start to perform. We've seen that a couple of times, that they won their major during the Vanguard year. Major won that season. They, of course, won the last year's World Championship in Dallas in front of the home crowd. Does, you know, a series victory at one of these tournaments, or Hitch banging the drums, like, change the fact that they've been playing poor and sloppy fundamental COD for several weeks now? Probably not, but you never know. The crowd could get behind them, the drums could come out, they could make something of a run, but there's just no evidence to suggest that's actually going to happen right now. And, you know, unfortunately, obviously getting roasted basically all avenues. Now, some interesting clips I wanted to share for you guys today, certainly coming out of the Shotzzy side, and also from Enable I thought were particularly interesting. Shotzzy, though, fair play to him, right? Because with all the, you know, pressure that he's under to some degree, with all the stress that's going on, he's still going to turn the stream on, address the fans. Obviously, you know, it's frustrating, I'm sure, for him to deal with a lot of the criticism right now, but, you know, he has earned it on some respect after what he said back in January, and now Optic, of course, is struggling hard. So, you know, inevitably they're going to get clowns, but I think it's nice that at least Shotzzy is still willing to turn the stream on and help the scene on some level. Now, we'll talk about scrims later today, and whether Optic may or may not bring those back to be streamed at some point in the future. Let's be honest, probably not. And here's even Toronto, as they say, there's no better feeling than taking down the green wall. So, I mean, like, everyone is piling on the bandwagon here. We had Falcons a couple of weeks ago tweeting about it as well. Obviously, Toronto are taking advantage of the situation. Joe Deceives is standing up and saying, look, I might have had a 2.0 KD that series. And, you know, these guys are terrible, I think they said as well. Rinsed, etc., etc. And Bean just hitting the dartboard and banging in treble 20s. This was a clip on the Optic podcast a little while ago, right? This is, I think, the one where Hex was calling out Dashy directly and saying that it's the worst Optic team that there's ever been in terms of results. I saw a crazy start on Reddit today as well. So back in the day when Scump, Formal, Karma and Crimsix were on the Optic Dynasty, during the early part of 2017, they went on a pretty mega run. Of course, they won the World Championship that year. But Between CWL Paris, which is this event right here, and CWL Dallas, they went on a legendary map win streak. So they won a few maps against Epsilon, they then 3-0'd Envy, 3-0'd Infused, 3-0'd FaZe, 3-0'd FaZe again, 3-0'd Tainted Minds, 3-0'd Red, 3-0'd Envy, and I think they then lost a map against the Gosu crew. But the total win streak in terms of maps here was 23, 24, something like that. So, you know, this I think was probably the long, I mean, I don't know, maybe Complexity had a great map streak as well, but even back in the day, Complexity were kind of known for, you know, they wouldn't really mind tossing the game to Search because they'd be so confident they'd win the other maps. I don't know if there's ever been a map win streak on the professional level longer and more impressive than this, and it's no real surprise that it was the Optic Dynasty during the game on which they won the world title. And okay, maybe some of the teams like Tainted Minds, to be fair, Tainted Minds weren't even bad. Like, and they played FaZe a couple of times in it, Envy were the reigning world champions at the time. They made the World Championship Grand Final too. These were in the groups and all that, right? So that was a 24-ish, 23-24 map win streak. Of course, go to the present day and you'll find Optic are on the verge of a 24 map loss streak. So as remarkable as that turnaround is. Now look, it depends if you include the Falcons or not. Technically, the Falcons is a series, so I don't necessarily want to discount it, but like, are Falcons even close to being a good team if they were in challenges right now? Not really, you know, not on the evidence that we have seen. So, okay, whatever. If you include the Falcons, the numbers don't add up, but if you consider teams that aren't the Falcons, then the numbers still speak for themselves at the end of the day, even if you don't include the Falcon series. Even if you do, they're still like 4 in 26 or something, I don't know, in their last several series. It's not great. Now, they were talking about this and saying that, well, you know, if we get one win, we get one kind of spark of energy, then they're going to be back. And look, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, it depends on your level of confidence, I guess. In the same way that FaZe, people say, oh, well, Simp clutched that 1v4 against Miami on the Vault Search and Destroy, and that catalyzed their year. And to some degree, that may be true, but they also were fundamentally making major improvements. It's not like Simp magically clutched a 1v4 and they realized how to play COD again. And that's my, you know, thing with Optic is that, okay, let's say that map 1 against Miami, that red card hardpoint, it was a bit of a mess. Let's say they won it rather than losing it. Does that do they magically 3-0 them from there and that they go on to dominate? Like, I don't really see the evidence of that, but, you know, maybe, right? They win a big series in front of the home crowd in Texas, and maybe that catalyzes them. We know what this Team of 4 is capable of. The concern, I guess, for me is that we don't really know what this Team of 4 is capable of on this particular title, and it doesn't seem to be working well right now. And even Shotzzy, I mean, look, doesn't matter what Shotzzy says right now, he's going to get clowned for it. But Aches over the last few days, of course, he's been giving his takes, as he always does, anti-Optic takes generally, and Aches has been eating good as of late with all of the recent results, calling out the team, saying how badly they're playing, and is he wrong? I mean, let's be honest, right? Like, I think Aches has probably made some fair points on the team in the recent couple of weeks. And I also tend to think that Aches has been, this year anyway, slightly more tempered with his takes. Like, it seems like Aches is actually watching the games, and therefore I don't think he's just saying things to rage bait anymore. I think there actually is a little bit more intention behind what Aches is talking about now, and I think he's been a better guest on the flank as a result, in my opinion, or host of the flank, I don't know, whatever you want to say. Now, Shotzzy has some takes on that and basically says Aches is pretty delusional on this, and he was going to get a clown for this. I see the argument from both sides. The other clip, though, that I wanted to share was this one from Enable's stream last night. Now, look, people are going to say, oh, Enable's just impression farming, he's clout farming, he's just saying these things to get some views and some attention, and he doesn't actually, you know anything that's worthy of saying. And that is a fair argument. But at the same time, it's not like he's posting about it on Twitter. He's talking about it to his chat. And, you know, if someone didn't clip this and tweet it out, no one would have ever known that Enable said this. But what he said was still pretty interesting.
Pat, talking shit, motivate you, number 3? No, bro, that guy's literally a troll. Pat, that guy's literally the fucking, Stephen A. Smith, is that? Yeah, that guy's literally the Stephen A. Smith at COD League. You guys understand that, right? I feel like, bro, people are so delusional. People are so delusional where they truly think what he is saying actually, like, he actually means that. Like, Buddy's just getting y'all riled up. But it's obviously good for the scene because you guys actually buy into it and truly think that, like, he's actually spitting, which is, I don't know. I know he's trolling, but the community obviously doesn't. They're like, holy fuck, this guy is literally right.
I don't think all and or everyone else will like know what really happened, while all of a sudden they treated Pred like he was OJ Simpson. You know what I mean? Voldemorted him off and then, you know, picked him back up like nothing happened. Just like literally like they were just hoping that nobody would have noticed that they fucking basically axed him, and fucking Shotzi was saying that he's never gonna be on Optic again. All of a sudden, the next day he's on Optic. But so I don't know why they did it. You know what I mean? Actually, where are you at? Like, oh, like am I lying? I mean, no. Okay, I've heard things that I'm not gonna say. I don't know if they're real. You know what I mean? I've heard some insane shit. No, I've heard some shit like, okay, did y'all seen the fucking the Drewski shit? Bro, like, do I really think Drewski was sliding on a chick? No, bro, I don't. That sounds fucking insane. No, I'm not saying no. See, that's not what I'm saying. The whole point is I've heard stuff, but I don't know. You know, like I don't know how true it is. Because then I thought everything that I did here though, like obviously it couldn't have been that factual, because then they brought it back easily. I was gonna have a comparison, but now I realize it doesn't look good. But I'm gonna just say it. But this isn't the comparison that I'm. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan retired because his pops got smoked, you know, and came back with a vengeance 3-peat. I thought Pred was finna come back and go crazy on my fantasy team. Pred ain't MJ. Well, I don't know if I'm playing another one, but I'll do that. Oh, chill. I was trying to use the Michael Jordan comparison because, like, not saying Pred's Michael Jordan. If you know, you know what I'm saying?
So I'm not really sure what he was getting at with the whole Drewski thing and then the MJ thing. We'll discuss that in a second. So I guess his point is he's heard a load of things. Whether what's actually happened is true, you know, not necessarily. And this is the other thing, right? So I Googled this. I know people were talking about it on the Reddit as well. And I'm guessing what he's getting at towards the end of that clip is the whole, like, MJ gambling thing in, like, you know, the comparisons there with Pred. I guess that's what he's going for. But still, interesting statements from Enable, to say the very least. Just wanted to quickly address this. This clip was doing, or this image was doing the rounds last night, seemingly suggesting Hook was back in the team. We see Kenny, Hook, Dashi, Big Fan, which I think is Karma, and then Hex in a group chat. Apparently this is a very old screenshot, and also the teams don't tend to scrim on Mondays anyway, which of course was yesterday, although maybe Optic should be right now given their circumstances. But just to note that this was, you know, an old clip. I don't think this is necessarily true, but it would be interesting if they were at least considering the opportunity for someone like Hook to come back in, and whether he'd even want to as it presently stands. But what do you guys think about Enable's comments, right? Because I thought they were pretty fascinating, saying that he's heard loads of things, some insane stuff about this Pred situation in recent weeks and months. I don't know if he's really implying that much has changed, or whether he's kind of more so suggesting that he's heard a lot as to what happens to get them to this point, why he was dropped and why he came back and some of these other things. And then he doesn't really want to give, you know, any more detail on that because he's heard things that may not be true, which kind of sounds like they're pretty outrageous things, or to some extent, right? Because if it was nothing much, then he'd probably be talking about them, right? You would imagine. Whether things have changed in recent times, whether Enable's talking about anything that's happened very recently, I think it is a big question to me as to whether things behind the scenes at Optic are changing. Because, okay, Shotzi's going to come out on stream and he's going to say, oh, well, there's no real issues here. Like, there's no problems outside of the game. I think he said that on stream a couple of nights ago. But it's tough to imagine that things haven't been affected to some degree with what's currently going on. But very much into your thoughts in the comments. Does Enable actually know anything worth talking about? Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.